Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to give a health update, share what my work week was like, as well as show you some of the projects I've been working on to some modifications for my car camping platform bed, as well as a sneak peek to my solar. And I'm also going to go into some things that I might do this weekend. As far as last week's video goes, I just want to thank everybody who commented on that video and everything that you shared, all the kindness and support. I was really overwhelmed with all of that. It's not something I'm really used to. And I just want to thank everyone who commented on that video and even gave it a thumbs up. And to those of you who shared your own struggles and health issues, I hope that you are getting the help that you need. Last week I had a follow-up with my cardiologist to go over the results of my echocardiogram and lower extremity ultrasound. He said that the lower extremity ultrasound showed incompetent veins and valves. He didn't go into detail what specifically, but referred me to a vascular surgeon for further follow-up care. As far as my heart went, he said it was fine. However, when I took the paperwork that he gave me from the results to my primary care doctor, because I had been waiting on what the outcome of those were in order to get on some antidepressants, because the antidepressants that would work for me, some of the side effects were heart failure. So we thought it was best to hold off and wait for those. So as she was going through the echocardiogram results, she saw that there was a regurgitation. And I was like, what? Regurgitation? The cardiologist didn't say anything about it. And you get paperwork, right, from your doctor, but who goes over it and who even understands it? You trust that when you're seeing a specialist that they would go over everything with you. I will note that the cardiologist had two trainee students / doctors in the room with him. And so I don't know if maybe he just overlooked it or just didn't think it was that significant to share with me, but in my opinion, he really should have gone over those results. And so what the echocardiogram showed was that I have a mitral valve regurgitation as well as the tricuspid valve regurgitation. And what that basically means, through the help of online research as well as a Mayo Clinic video, it means that the main valves in between your upper and lower chambers of your heart, I think it's your atrium and ventricle is the bottom chamber. In plain English, basically, the mitral valve is the valve on the left side that when the blood flows from the top of the chamber to the bottom chamber, it closes off. On the right side, the tricuspid valve is the one in between the right upper chamber and the right lower chamber, which also closes off as blood transfers through each one. The left side of your heart sends oxygen-rich blood to your body, and the right side of your heart, it takes blood from your lungs and receives, I don't know which, I'm not an expert on this, oxygen-rich blood from your lungs. On each side of my heart, when the upper chamber is moving blood to the lower chamber, that valve in between them should close off. On each side of mine, it is not. And what that means is that on my left side, because it's the left side that sends the oxygen-rich blood to your body, some of that blood is going back up into the upper chamber. And so it causes exhaustion. And these are all symptoms that I had talked with my cardiologist about. Exhaustion, it also causes the swelling, and it also causes the shortness of breath, the tricuspid valve. When your valves are sending the blood back and not fully sealing, you are going to experience exhaustion, shortness of breath, swelling in the lower extremities. So needless to say, I am quite irritated that the cardiologist didn't go over that with me, and I can't imagine that even if he did find it somewhat insignificant in his opinion, because he deals with probably mostly older patients, that He didn't even share that information with me. I can't imagine with the pictures that I showed him of the swelling in my feet that he could think that it's caused just by the incompetent veins and valves in my legs. It shows that I have a regurgitation of both valves, and so that is a contributing factor. And I have the symptoms. I did reach out to his office for clarification. I called last week. I have not heard back, but I just want to know, what does the progression of that look like? That is concerning to me. It's frustrating, and hopefully I will find out more information about that. I don't know what my continued care looks like with vascular surgery. I did tell the cardiologist I'm going to be moving, and I cannot see a specialist here in Arizona. I'm going to be going back to Arizona because he had explained to me that the vascular surgeon, it could be anywhere from surgery to fix the valves to compression to I don't know what. The research that I've done on my own for the regurgitation, the valve regurgitation, a lot of that just points to some robotic surgery. It sounds pretty simple to help close the valves. I don't know what any of that looks like. It's just what I've learned. And so here in Arizona, I don't have anybody to take care of me. My mom and sister did come down earlier this week because I had quite a bad week this week with work. Just to give you a little backstory, I had told my office that I wasn't going to be renewing my orders around, it was either the end of May or the first part of June. So they were well aware of the situation and could have planned adequately whatever they needed to accommodate going forward. I had created a program in SharePoint to oversee the management and distribution of $7 million. I know I talk about SharePoint a lot, but I utilize it all the time in my work because it's a great program and you can manage all sorts of programs in it. So like any other project or program I've been in charge of, I went to SharePoint, and they were on the fence. These are both officers that I deal with. One of them wanted to look at what other options there were available, which is totally fine. But while that was happening, I was going to be the one as the first point of contact for these requests to distribute this $7 million. And I wasn't about to do that through email. So like any other project and program, I do it through SharePoint. I built this program management site to take in these project requests and then to approve them and then identify when money was distributed to the wings. As time went on, the one officer, it's almost like he has been trying to make a name for himself with finding a solution to this, but I'm not going to bother waiting around for that. And so I just went ahead and built this. And luckily I did, because we ended up using it and it worked very, very well. And they even briefed this new commander on it, and they canceled that day of leave that I had to go there for the briefing. And I am sure they probably regret doing so, because they talked to the commander about, what the manning in the office looked like, which each position did. The commander saw that my position was going to be gone. I was going to be gone. He asked me, is this because of us? Is this by choice? I said, it's by choice. And then they proceeded to talk about this other program that they have been wanting to get and they have already been using, but it's not approved for the network. And I don't know how things like this, I do, but how things like this even get through any approval process when there's a lot to this story, and I'm trying to make sense of it as best I can. But basically, during this briefing, when they showed the new commander, what we had in place to manage this $7 million budget, he was like, oh, this is great. Everybody has oversight. There's pure transparency. which is ideal. Other wings can see what other wings are doing, what they're buying, if it works, if it doesn't work. So he really liked that. With this new system that the one guy wants to get, it does not have that transparency because you have to pay for it. And we already have SharePoint available to us. And with COVID happening, what the DoD did is they actually went out with Microsoft and got all DoD, 4 million users, onto what they call the Commercial Virtual Remote CVR environment. And it basically is through COVID to allow us a platform to communicate through Teams. It's really through Microsoft Teams, if any of you are familiar with that. It's like a Slack/Discord, kind of an open chat channel, but it comes with file storage and meeting setup and all of that. And it's extremely useful. Well, the Guard saw its benefit, and like the Air Force started back in 2015, the migration to Microsoft 365, the cloud. It was either a $1 billion, I think it was just a $1 billion contract for the Guard and Reserve. I meant to say active duty and reserve, and it was a $1 billion contract to get into the cloud. They forgot about the Guard. We were not included. So the Guard just recently spent millions of dollars to get into this cloud environment that the active duty Air Force is in. So it would be in our best interest to utilize this product that is already available and has already been paid with taxpayer dollars for our use, and is totally capable, which I have already shown through the creation of the program I built in SharePoint to manage things. So they proceeded to tell this commander during the briefing that they needed this other program and that SharePoint, it's just a moment in time and Rachel did a really good job, but yada, yada, yada. I couldn't sit back and listen to this, and I was already leaving anyway. So I spoke up and told the commander what the truth was, that the Guard has purchased this cloud environment for millions of dollars, and we all need to be good financial stewards of taxpayer dollars. And it would not be very responsible of us to go out and spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on this other program that's already approved for the network. It's frustrating when you can see things happening above your level and these people don't give the full story. And I couldn't just sit there and not say anything. So at the end of the meeting, the commander asked when I leave. I told him, he said, I'd like to have a meeting with you to talk further about what you brought up. I was like, could it be like the first time in many years that somebody of authority gave a crap about what I had to say and listened to me? Yes, that seemed to be the case. Fast forward to Monday. If you go and read the post to my community tab, you'll see the correspondence of what occurred between myself and the two officers in the office. And what's just ironic is that a few weeks prior to them sending me this project request list, the top guy said that once we're through divvying out this $7 million, we're going to go ahead with the rest of the office and plan our way forward. I said, well, that's fine. I want to say, I really don't care. I'm leaving. Yeah, you can do that. I don't need to know about it. But I just said, okay. Next thing I know, I'm being pulled into a meeting about their way forward and asked all sorts of questions about what can be done in SharePoint. And I tell them, but I also tell them the caveats that because we've now migrated to Microsoft 365, there is a break between SharePoint Designer where I create my custom workflows and the new workflow setup, which is Power Automate. I don't know if any of you are familiar. I know there was one person in my comments a while ago who commented on SharePoint so I might not be speaking a language that you guys understand. Anyway, you can just create these custom workflows to get SharePoint to do what you want it to do. So that was the caveat that I told them. It is not online yet. at least in the system that we have. It is not available. And I am no longer able to connect SharePoint Designer to the platform to create some custom features that they wanted. And on top of all this, I had also shared with both of them. The lower ranking one, I didn't go into detail about what my medical conditions were that I was dealing with, but I told them that I was seeing a cardiologist and that I had swelling in my feet. But the top guy, I told him that I was dealing with possible heart failure and seeing a cardiologist and yada yada. But the problem with this particular guy is that he is constantly talking, and during the course of that conversation, he just spoke about his son, which is terrible that his son has these issues, but he just spoke of his son and some issues that his son has. And it was evident earlier this week that he did not listen to what I said. And when he attempted to adjust my leave and continue to press about their priorities that they gave me and what can be done about them, when I've already told them what can be done about them, that they need to go to plan B, he had asked that I send him my work schedule, which I did. But I also included my doctor's appointments this time, because when I provided my work schedule back in June, because I needed to burn a lot of leave, it didn't have those appointments on there. So this time I provided them, and he just seemed to want to have me in the office and then switch the days that I was on leave for when I would have doctor's appointments. And that's just not okay. There's no care or consideration for your subordinates, those who work for you. And just these leaders that I've run into lately are completely awful. And I'm so glad that I'm leaving, but at the same time, I can't understand how people are so unaware of other human beings and what they might need. They just care about the bottom line. So fast forward, it was actually that same day. Later on that day, I had the commander's admin reach out to me to set up a meeting with him, probably to talk about SharePoint. I was not mentally on my game and had just shared with this admin that I was having a bad day and what had occurred. And, I've been in this battle, which shouldn't be a battle, alone. And with the military, you have to follow orders, but when you're getting jerked around, and there are avenues that you can take to get help, but when you're in the moment, it's like, who do you turn to? What do you do? And it's very stressful on top of everything else that you're dealing with. So I shared with this admin what had occurred. We set up the appointment with the commander and just went from there. I was expecting a call with the commander to be about what I had talked about with SharePoint, and I was going to be honest and lay it all out for him and let him know what was happening, what the capabilities of SharePoint were. I had set up some features with SharePoint to show him in the new system, like these virtual tours that you can do, which are awesome. So anyway, what happened during the phone call was that he said, "Hey, I heard that you have some medical issues going on and I need to know about these." And at first I was kind of like, well, it's HIPAA stuff. And second of all, I'm just barely getting the test results as of yesterday. And third of all, lastly, I had shared the information with my direct leadership. And in my opinion, they could have shared that with their chain, him as well, but that didn't occur. So this commander, a colonel, I'm just totally taken aback because of how he approached the situation. He was just very matter of fact. He wanted all the details that he could without getting too much into the weeds, which I can tend to do, and I think a lot of people tend to do. And they don't answer the question that is being asked. I noticed this when I assisted the legal office on many CDIs, commander-directed investigations, that when people are interviewed and they're asked a question, they just go off in left field and they don't actually answer the question. So you'd have to re-ask it. So ever since then, I try to make sure and ask the question, but I still give maybe too much of the backstory. So he had said things like, I'm a G series commander and I need to know these things. And once I told him more about what was going on, he's like, in my, as it stands now, you're not deployable, and which doesn't really matter to me. I mean, in the positions that we're in at the headquarters level, we're not deployable anyway. Sometimes people can deploy, but really not in these capacities. They get sent back to their wing to deploy. So that really wasn't a concern of mine anyway, and I am retiring in March. So I had told him about my liver disease that I found out, and he's like, why don't I know about that? And I said, sir, that's just an annual, we're just monitoring that year by year to see how it improves or does not. And I just barely found out the results from my cardiologist yesterday. He asked how I was sleeping, and I've never even been asked that question before. I had happened to not be able to fall asleep until 4 a.m. that morning, and told him that. And he said, why? And I told him, just stress. And I haven't had air conditioning since Friday. It was now Wednesday. And he was like, what? Why are you not telling me these things? And, it's like, he's the top. Yes, he's in my chain, but he's the top. In my experience, you deal with things through your own chain. And when your own chain doesn't give a crap, why would you even bother? And I told him, sir, that I had told my leadership, not about the air conditioning, but about the situation. I have not had good experience with leadership the past few years, and that I have an IG complaint out against one of the prior leaders that I worked for. And he was like, whoa, I don't need to know that. But I was like, sir, you asked why you don't know these things, and this is what I'm telling you. And no, I wasn't going to go into the details, but I wanted to share those things with him enough so that he knows in his position why he wouldn't know things like this, or why I wouldn't approach him, because I have a distrust in leadership and bad experience with them. And so he's like, I'm different. And I mean, at that point, I started to get emotional because I could see he was very different. I'm not going to cry. Such a baby. But I know that if I had had a leadership like him the past few times, that my situation right now, as far as the decision to leave, would be so much different. But things happen for a reason, and I've made the decision that I have, and I'm fine with it. But it's just all the hard work that I did to cross-train, that it's disheartening, because I put in so much work and things just didn't work out the way that I had hoped. But I'm working on being okay with that. So anyway, back to this commander. He asked what I was going to be doing after I got off the phone with him. I said, well, we have a 9 o'clock meeting, sir. He's like, no, just forget about it. I'll let them know that you're not going to be in the meeting. And he said, is there any, he asked what else he could help me with, what else he could do for me. And I shared with him that I was having some difficulty with my direct leadership, that I told them about my medical situation, and that they just were still trying to get every little last drop out of me that they could, when they had plenty of time to plan. I have always taken pride in my work, and I know the capabilities of SharePoint and how amazing it can be for people and offices. And I can take any program you need and build it in SharePoint. So there's a part of me that wants to provide what they're asking, even though it's on them to have to figure it out. I am leaving. They need to figure out their way forward like they told me they were going 2 weeks ago. And then I shared with them what was going on with me, and I shared with them what the current capabilities are, that we're waiting for things to come online and features to come online. So the commander, said, yeah, just forget about it. Forget about them. You're following under me. You're going to answer to me, and you don't need to worry about what's going on there. I mean, it was like, wow, that's how I should have been treated in the first place. When I said, hey, I've got these medical conditions, I got these physical conditions, I shouldn't have been tasked with more projects, their projects for FY21. I should not have. I told them plenty of time that I was going. They should have hired somebody if they couldn't figure it out. They tried to get the program that they have been gunning for this whole time online and working, and it's not panning out, and it's not my problem. And it's been hard to try to separate myself from that, because like I said, I know the capabilities, but some of them, there's things that need to be there that aren't, to be able to do it anyway. So either way, I am so grateful to this new commander and the actual care and consideration that he gave me. And, I think as a commander, he looked at the human side of it, but he also looked at it of the side of being in his position. And, there was this kind of thunderstorm occurring and brewing over here. And I think he handled it really, really well. And I have a massive amount of respect for him. And if any of you are military or were in when General Welsh was in, I mean, people just talked about what a great leader he was. And this commander, I kind of got vibes of that. He's somebody that you would follow into war. He's somebody who you're going to respect and you're going to be led by and accomplish what they need. I mean, the leadership that I have had is not been that at all. So that is this recording? So that was the work week. I will show you now a couple of the projects that I've been working on. My solar panel, just because I have it in here, and I'm thinking about going camping this weekend because I was told that they're going to take the air conditioning offline. It is working in my unit, but it's a temporary system actually for the whole complex, and it just warms up throughout the day and gets to up around 80 degrees by 7 o'clock. So they're going to take the whole system offline and try to fix it. And I don't want to be around for that. And I'm going to be on leave anyway. So I'm thinking that I might go to one of my favorite national forests, either Tonto National Forest or Coconino National Forest, and just hang out. I need to see if my solar panel, the additional structure that I've added to it, will help when I'm driving, because it would just kind of flap. And then I need to fix my platform bed because a whole Camelback 3-liter water bladder leaked onto it. And it's the type of wood that's panels of wood stuck together, and it just split apart. So I'm going to just try to fix it as it is and get a jig to drill some sinkholes in it. Are they sinkholes? Pocket holes? Anyway, and fix from there, because depending on how soon I get a new vehicle, if I get a new vehicle, then I'll fix that piece of the platform bed. But I put a lot of effort into it. I added a table to it, and I just want to fix it and not deal with it. Speaking about vehicles, I didn't go into a lot of detail about why I made the decision to not go with a van at this point. And there was a comment that came up that was surprised. They were surprised about why I wasn't going with a van. And I was pretty much dead set on it. I wanted something that I could stand up in after living in my car. And then I was kind of leaning towards a minivan. You guys didn't know that, but I was kind of leaning towards a minivan just because I didn't want all that terrible gas mileage on the bigger vans. And As I've traveled around Arizona and have attempted to make it on some roads that I really have no business being on, I realized that I cannot go with a minivan because it's just not going to have the clearance. It's going to have worse clearance than my car, which is 8 inches. And I don't want a four-wheel drive vehicle because terrible gas mileage. I looked at the 4Runner and that's like 17 miles per gallon. Yes, there's a big reason that I don't want that is for my frugal side, but also I can't really fathom, as much as I want to drive all over the country, that just is so much fuel into the environment. And I am not really comfortable with that at this point. So between better gas mileage, ground clearance, and more space, I landed on the Toyota Highlander Hybrid because I can put a lift on it. I mean, it's already about the same ground clearance as what I have, but it's much better gas mileage, and I want at least all-wheel drive. I'm good with all-wheel drive. I don't need the four-wheel drive. My brother thinks otherwise, and he's got a point. Yes, I want to be where those vehicles will take me, but they kind of just get you stuck farther and, farther out. Right now, I'll show you the panel that I have and how I've kind of made it more rigid, as well as my platform bed. And then when I go camping this weekend, I'll probably just do like a first look video, not posted this weekend, but I'm gonna try to do a weekly video. I don't have a specific day in mind just because of life, and I really do deal with some pretty severe exhaustion. So I don't want to lock myself down to a specific day, but my goal is to do a much better job of posting videos. And now that I will no longer be working full time, I can manage that. It's a lot of work to do YouTube. People don't think it is, but until you get into it, it is actually a lot of work. And between just the work that goes into it, my exhaustion, working full time, that's why I've been not so good at posting. So, I will have a first look video of my solar. I also want to do a review on some camping food that I found at Walmart. That's like a pizza and also some chocolate chip cookies. I've had those for a while. They've been sitting in my car in 100+ temperatures, so I don't know if they're even still good. Hopefully they are. And we'll go from there. With that being said, we will take a look at these modifications that I've done and additions that I have added, just to show you guys what's going on, what's been going on. This is my solar panel. It is a flexible, as I mentioned in last week's video. And what I've done to it, this will be in an overview video when I just go into more depth of my solar panel, but I've just added some brackets. These are actual solar panel brackets so that you can tilt it up. This is a piece of wood that I have cut out holes. I probably didn't really need to do this, but these panels overheat a lot. These flexible panels, they really overheat. And because this is mounted to my roof basket, I probably did not need to do all this, but I did anyway, just to create that airflow. And then this is just an angle bracket here. This is the front of it when it's on my car. This side is the front. And so this was kind of flapping in the wind, and already it is much more rigid, but I did drill this hole here, and I have a clip thing to help strap it down, hold it down to my basket a little bit better. And then this is just plasti dipped because it's waterproof, and I didn't really want to trust any spray paint. So that is that project. Oh, really quick, this is actually my table that I made for my platform bed. It pulls out of the back of my car and it works really well. This is a nut that I can screw a monopod leg in, but this is long enough that I don't really need to put a monopod. If I have a lot of heavy items, then I probably would, but I just added shellac to it, which is food safe. And I love it. I love having it. It's really great. This is actually, this bottom piece, this is actually a part of my new platform bed. Just getting away from that other wood. This is all out of my car because my family came and I needed some space for them. This is one side of my platform bed, the platform piece that is out the back of my car and that the camelback was on, which just split in half. I poured some water on it because this piece right here, it was just kind of like bending out that way. And so I re-wet it down and then put some clamps on it to maybe straighten it out a little bit more. But this is the other piece. And this is the track where the table goes in. That's kind of a ghetto rigged way that I did it. I didn't really need to put in the screws because I used adhesive, but I wasn't sure how strong it would hold. So I just want to reuse this, secure it back together, and then go from there. And with that, I thank you so much for watching. And once again, thank everyone who commented on my video last week and also shared their health struggles with me. And I hope that you are able to find answers and get the help that you need. It is not a fun situation and can be very stressful when trying to wait and figure out what is going on. But just know that I read all your comments. If I don't comment on them, I read all of them. I try to comment on all of them. But as you comment more and more, I get to know you and become familiar with you and really do appreciate your support. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.